Coming up next on the NBA Today.
The Charlotte Hornets have defeated the Chicago Bulls.
I wasn't all that disappointed we lost on a home court.
And everybody stands in Gondarina and honors the Chief.
I think Seattle is a tough opponent. This is a team that we are possibly going to meet in the Western Conference Finals.
Hill has a unique style of his own.
Vernon dipping to the win.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hoop Show that loves breaking new ground. This is the NBA Today. I'm Mark Jones, the Jam Posse, also in the house, and this is how we do it. You know, writing history can be a lot more fun than reading history, and the Bulls are waiting poised with pen in hand. Chicago just 4 games shy of an NBA record, 70 wins in a season, going to Monday night's game against Charlotte. Michael is about being the best. 70 wins might convince even more people that he's the Hoops Mac Daddy of all time. But the Mac Daddy early in the game against Charlotte was Pete Myers from half court. Charlotte down 10 at the half. Fourth quarter, though, they come on big time. Del Curry so good coming off screens. Straight butter, baby. He had 19. Matt Geiger. Matt Geiger? Yeah, Matt Geiger. Charlotte led by 12. Now, 9.8 seconds left. The ISO for Tony Kukoc. Little strong off the glass. Pippen missing. Jordan missing. Pippen missing. Charlotte winning. They snapped the streak of 44 home straight wins, winning 98-97.
I wasn't all that disappointed we lost on a home floor. It's probably okay, go through this kind of a stretch. You know, you're going to go in the playoffs, and if you're undefeated, you think that you're impervious on your home court, and it's good to have reality set in and know that you got to go back out and play hard to win.
The Bulls need to go 4-3 the rest of the way to reach 70. 4 of their 7 games are against teams that are out of the playoffs. Chicago is 6-0 against the Cavs, Pistons, and 2-1 against Indiana. Miami stalking the Hornets in the race for the 8th and final playoff spot in the East. A key meeting between the Heat and the Bullets on Monday night. Miami's Tim Hardaway averaging 11 assists over the last 11 games. Enough to feed the needy, and the Heat in need of a win. Washington in need of these 3 guys. Nice threads, nice game, but they're injured. Liddell Eccles for Washington wasn't, though. He was red hot from three-point land. He says, I love it when you call me Big Papa. He hits another 3, pump-faking Gatling. Then from near the top of the key, representing on Rex Chapman, hitting another 3 ball. I'm telling you, Liddell had candy for everybody. The Bullets win it 111-99. Now, here's the story. The Bullets have the easiest schedule the rest of the way. In the event of a tie in head-to-head competition, Charlotte has the edge on Washington. They could end up tied with the Heat. Miami is now 2-2 against Washington and could be tied with Charlotte, who they play Wednesday. In the event of a tie, a 3-way tie, Charlotte has the edge. All right, David Aldridge is in the house right now. David, let's talk about the race for the 8th and final playoff spot in the East. Hey, the Washington Bullets still very much a player here.
It's amazing. With all the injuries that they've had, 4 of their top 6 players out. Weber's only played 15 games. Mark Price, they traded a first-round pick for, hardly played at all this season, but the Bullets persevere. Big reason, Juwan Howard. The guy is a pro and a star in this league. He's done everything that the Bullets have asked of him. They need points, rebounds, assists, whatever. He gets it for them. In addition, he gives them an attitude that will not let them use the injuries as an excuse to not excelling down the stretch. This is a team that's playing an awfully lot like a veteran team. They've won games on the road at Atlanta where they were down 19 and not playing well, came back and won that game, then played very well in San Antonio and won that game. One at home when they played badly against Philadelphia, one at home when they played very well against Miami. So no matter how they're playing, they're winding up with the wins down the stretch. It's a very impressive stretch for this young team.
Charlotte, Miami, and Washington, the way things shake down over the last few games, who do you like for the last spot?
Well, I think if you go into the last week of the season, it depends on what Miami and Charlotte do tomorrow night. If Miami wins that game, I think it's going to be a wire job between the 3 teams down the stretch. If Charlotte wins that game, they're going to be 2.5 up with only a few left. I think they'll hold on.
Let's take a look at things from 4 through 9. Very tight. 4 through 8, very tight, too. The Knicks, Cavs, and Hawks and Pistons separated by just 2 games in the loss column. Some other notes: Orlando over 500 on the road at 21-17 with 3 road games remaining. Last Tuesday, San Antonio got ambushed by Phoenix. Big deal. 17-game winning streaks in March don't mean much in June, but the Spurs need a little Tylenol for that hangover. They've dropped 3 of their 4 games in April, and the Jazz inching closer, just 3 back in the Midwest, going into their meeting on Monday night. Utah opportunistic in the early going. Carl the Mailman Malone with the pick right there. Moves in for the easy deuce. They led by 5 at the half, but in the third quarter, Sean Elliott had it going on and on until the break of dawn. Hits the 3 ball there. Then Vinny Del Negro with a little bass in your face. The Spurs up 8. Now, late in the game, final seconds, Jazz down 1. David Benoit for the win. No, the Spurs win a tight one by 1.
I can't say enough about Sean. Sean was fantastic. Came in both halves and started us off well, and then our bench was great. That helped.
The Spurs keep pace with the Sonics in the West with the win. The Rockets got Mario Elie and Clyde Drexler back in the fold. Akeem will be back for Tuesday's game against Vancouver, and they hope to have Sam Cassell back by the weekend. Meanwhile, the Suns and the Blazers play Tuesday night, and Phoenix currently has a 2-1 advantage. The Kings have gone 6-4 in their last 10, while the Warriors and Nuggets have gone 4-6. You know, Grant Hill might be the most popular athlete in Motown. He's the truth, as well as the present and the future of the Detroit Pistons. Also coming up on the NBA today, Gary Payton and Sean Kemp dropping the old G-Funk jam on the opposition like that in our marquee matchup. And the Jam Posse salutes the Chief, who keeps going and going and going.
The NBA Today is brought to you by Dutch Boy Paints. Give your home the long-lasting look of Dutch Boy. And by Sprite. Image is nothing. Thirst is everything. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
The Chief, Robert Parish, headed out of Centenary in 1976 and came to Golden State. Then on to the Celtics, and now he toils in Charlotte. But the Chief's best moments came in Boston, winning 3 championships, 2 over the Rockets. The first in '81, and then again in 1986. Parish won his other against Kareem and the Lakers in 1984. Another memorable moment came in '87 when he leveled a Bill Laimbeer. Could have got a parade for that in Boston. He recently scored his 23,000th point with the Hornets, who gave him a grandfather clock the night he tied the record for career games, and then Friday against the Bulls. He broke the record against the Cavs on Saturday.
It's a great feeling to have broken the record. I've said before, it means a lot to me because of what the record stands for, and that's consistency and longevity. So I'm very proud of the record.
Look at this. Parish has played in more games than anyone in NBA history. What do you say about a guy who has played for this long? A walking billboard for the benefits of taking ginseng. Last Wednesday in Vancouver, the Grizzlies trying to snap a 23-game losing streak. Late in the game against Minnesota, Blue Edwards, give me the ball, he says, and I'll take you home. And he does. They avoid loss number 24 in a row.
What made everything happen was the whole team executed. So you had to give the guy, the passers, those guys that set the screens, all of them credit, because we came together and made that play work, and we got a team win.
The Grizzlies must go 3-5 the rest of the way to avoid having the worst expansion record ever. 6 of the 8 games are against playoff teams, including the Spurs twice. Ouch. Let's go around the NBA. Michael Jordan added to his long list of milestones on Thursday. With 4 steals against the Heat, Jordan became the 4th player ever to get 2,000 steals. MJ joins John Stockton, Mo Cheeks, and Alvin Robertson as the only players to reach that mark. With all-time triple-double leader Magic Johnson on the bench with Achilles tendonitis, his buddy Vlade Divac went out and got his first ever triple-double with 10 points, 10 rebounds, and a career-high 13 assists in a win against the Grizzlies. Sunday in Boston, Grant Hill got his league-leading 9th triple-double of the season with 16 points, 10 boards, and 10 assists in a loss against the Celtics. A change of character for the Knicks on Saturday in Toronto. The usually defensive New Yorkers exploded for 139 points, the most they have ever scored as a franchise since 1988-89. John Starks led the way with a season-high 37. A winless March saw the Bucks lose a franchise record 15 straight games. Tuesday, Milwaukee broke the streak by beating the Pistons. Saturday, the Bucks won their second April game by beating the Nets behind a season-high 19 points from rookie Sean Resberg. The Rockets ended their 7-game losing streak Tuesday in Oakland as they beat the Warriors 112-106. The hero was CBA refugee Sam Mack, who made the most of his chance to shine as he dropped in a career-high 38 points, including 6 threes. The Mac Daddy helped the defending champs avoid their longest losing streak since 1983. Bad news for Philly Friday night against the Pistons. Jerry Stackhouse broke his right thumb. Stack later said he didn't know when he did it, and he finished the game with 23 points. In Toronto, this rookie Raptor lost his roar for a bit. Damon Stoudemire gone on the shelf with tendonitis in his left knee. They expect him back Sunday, Friday at earliest. Now here's a look at some rookie digits for you. Stack done for the season. Stoudemire, as we just mentioned, could be back as early as Friday. Another notable, Antonio McDyess of Denver, averaging over 13 points a game. Well, Allen Iverson isn't talking, but David big money agent Falk says that Iverson hasn't signed with him. Iverson, a sophomore from Georgetown, is projected as a lottery pick if he comes out early. But there's no ifs for Stephen Marbury from Georgia Tech. He averaged 19 points a game as a freshman. He says he's ready to move on and rub shoulders with Magic and Michael.
You know, as I see them, you know, and I say to myself, you know, I could be on the court playing with these guys on any given day. You know, and then next year, you know, I'm going to be playing against them guys. The opportunity that I have right now is really knocking, you know, and I really have to take advantage of it.
Samaki Walker of Louisville is ready to start counting some dead presidents, too. Walker just completed his sophomore season, averaged 15 points and 7.5 boards for the Cardinals. The deadline to declare is May the 12th. Now, here's a look at the time to get paid gang. Conference USA losing 2 of the top big men in the conference. Lorenzen Wright of Memphis hasn't signed with an agent and could return to school if he doesn't like his draft position. All right, still ahead on the show. The Spurs got 5-0 on the case, and he'll be looking to book Seattle. And it's a G. Hill alert. Lots of stopping, popping, and dropping when we return. You know Grant Hill, Mr. All-American, apple pie eating, GM truck driving, piano playing Boy Scout with Mad Hops and Mad Game. He's the man in Detroit. Hill trying to bring back the days of Detroit's back-to-back titles. He racks up triple-doubles and then gives you that, yeah-so look. A modest superstar who evokes memories of a former legend. Carl Ravitch has more.
Larry Bird is, you know, arguably the best player to ever play the game. And, you know, I'm just in my second season. He, you know, scoring, rebounding, leadership, whatever it took to win, and he did it.
While Grant Hill is speaking of a former number 33, one could easily speak of him in that same breath. Hill and Bird. Their games are different, yet their roles on their teams are alike.
I think he's learned from year 1 to year 2 how to control a game. Last year he just did it strictly on ability. This year he's thinking and controlling the games.
Both 33s maximize their abilities, achieving numbers that nearly mirror each other. Hill's second year, 21 points, nearly 10 boards, and 7 assists per game. Bird's second year, 21 points, nearly 11 boards, and 5.5 assists per game. Similar numbers, yet acquired in different fashions.
Larry, what he would do was work on his jumper, and then he'd drive. And Grant Hill's just the opposite. If you give him the jumper, he will take it, but his forte is really driving to the basket.
Larry Bird is a great three-point shooter, and that helps set up the rest of his game. I don't think that's really the biggest part of what Grant Hill does. Grant Hill is a take-it-to-the-basket guy with power. So the strength of that game is completely different.
Overall, I think Grant Hill has a unique style of his own, and that's what makes stars, when you have your own unique style. And Larry was one, Magic's one, Mike was one, Grant's one, you know, people like that.
Despite the contrast in styles, what's clear is the similarity of what each 33 either meant or means to his team.
You know, if you want to have a comparison of his impact on our team and the fact that when the game is on the line, we want the ball in his hands either for himself or for someone else, then I would say that that's a fair comparison.
They have the ability to make other guys around him better. They look to him. So he's getting other guys involved. Larry did the same thing. If Larry Bird wanted to score 35 points a game, he could have done that. Grant has the ability to do that, but these guys are total team players. Those qualities stand out.
Just having the overall game, Bird could pass the ball, could rebound, could score.
and could make defensive plays, and Grant can do all of those things. I think that's what makes him a special player.
Both of them are consummate competitors, and that underlies an entire guy's career. They will go out and know that they have to continue to improve, expand their game as the defenses start to learn their moves, and just play the game the best they know how all the time. And that's the similarities between Hill and Larry Bird.
Growing up, I was always a Lakers fan, and I used to really dislike the Celtics and dislike Larry Bird. But as I got older and as I began to understand the game a lot more, I really appreciated what he did. And you know, I've gotten all the tapes, almost all the tapes of when Boston played the Pistons, and I've been able to watch him, and really it was beautiful to watch. And the way he plays, he wasn't the most athletic guy, but he was so smart, and he knew how to maximize what he had.
Over a decade and a half ago, one number 33 was given the ball, and he brought pride back to a faltering franchise. Today, another 33 is in the same situation.
We put the ball in his hands this year and ask him to lead our team.
I enjoy having the ball in my hands. Hopefully my teammates enjoy it as well.
Him being the central point now, all you can do is support that and let a guy know, listen, you're the guy now, it's your era, and I'm going to follow your lead.
Hey, if your radio isn't turned on ESPN radio, it isn't turned on. Sunday at 3:07 Eastern, Charles does Hollywood. Jim Durham and Jack Ramsey with the call. Some games to watch this week. Blazers and Suns battling for 6th in the West. The Heat and the Hornets fight for the final spot in the East, while Cleveland chases New York for home court, also in the East. You know, defensively, Seattle has more different looks than a Halloween party. And it's straight up scary for opponents when they start turning it over against the Sonics' half-court trap. But Avery Gumbo Johnson and Vinny Del Negro of San Antonio have the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the league. Our marquee matchup featuring the two top guns in the West.
After falling twice to the Sonics in their first 2 meetings this season, the Spurs sent Seattle a big message the last time they met by handing the Sonics only their 3rd home loss of this campaign. And as both teams ready for the playoffs, they know they aren't the same teams who failed to meet last year's postseason expectations.
They've come back, I guess, with more of a focus now to know that this is their chance to really, you know, penetrate in the playoffs and get better. So, you know, their guys are more mature now, so it's showing in the way that they're playing this year.
I think their personality is more diversified, especially offensively. I think they probably have taken over for Phoenix is, in my opinion, the most explosive offensive team.
But defusing the Spurs' #1 weapon, David Robinson, will be priority 1 in Seattle's defensive game plan. But how do you do it?
Part of what players don't give him the baseline drive, what he likes to do. Contest his jump shot and try to keep a hand in his face.
Kemp, the Sonics' answer to the Admiral, is netting 23 per game against the Spurs, who have yet to solve the matchup problems caused by the Rain Man.
You have to give him great attention. I don't know that you need to double team him all the time. I think the best case scenario is to get him as far away from the basket as possible so he can't dunk it.
Cuts into the lane, hands to Sean, step back.
Just flat powered up a sledgehammer jam. The game also features a dynamite matchup at the point where the ever-improving Avery Johnson will have to contend with the inside-out game that Gary Payton brings to the field.
I know his eyes are big, knowing he's going to have a smaller guard on him, and Gary's probably the best post-up guard in the league.
And if you don't play well against him, he destroys you every night. He comes out there every single night and plays. But I think Avery's ready for the challenge.
He's always a tough matchup. He's a matchup that I always look forward to because, you know, you got to always be on top of your game when you play him.
The Spurs didn't lose a game in March, but they never caught the Sonics for the top spot in the West. After beating them in Seattle, the Spurs hope to give the Sonics something to remember them by in the Alamo Dome.
When we play them this last time, it'll even up the series for us. You know, we beat them on their home court, and now to come back home and establish ourselves is very important for us.
David Aldridge back again. David, George Karl gets my vote as the NBA's Coach of the Year. His team can still win 66 games in the regular season, but skeptics abound and say this is the same Seattle team as it was a year ago. What's your read?
I don't think it is, Mark. George Karl, this is for you. You say we never say anything good about Seattle on ESPN. Here's some good stuff. Hersey Hawkins gives you a jump shooter that you've never had on your team before. He's going to really help Seattle in the postseason. They've got some of the same elements they've had before. They've got Detlef Schrempf, they've got Sam Perkins, they've got Irvin Johnson. But what really is impressive is the maturity level of Kemp and Payton. These are the two guys that would go off on knucklehead tangents in years past. They still do it on occasion, but they don't do it as much as they used to. Shawn Kemp missed a team flight on Saturday. He apologized to his teammates for letting them down, and then he proceeded to go out and have a great game against the Knicks on Monday. That's maturity. That's learning from past mistakes. Nate McMillan told me he doesn't mind if the team plays a little PO'd. It's good for him to do that. But they have to also play with some purpose and some resolve, especially in the postseason when teams are going to try to get into their heads.
Speaking of the postseason, the playoffs, of course, are all about half-court offense, half-court defense. How far can this Seattle team advance in the playoffs?
I think it can go pretty far. They'll get past Sacramento without too much trouble in the first round. But they are vulnerable to teams with low-post centers and teams that can pass and shoot the ball out on the wings. Houston can do it. Obviously, the Lakers with Magic, Van Exel and company can do it. So they're going to have trouble. But I think their growth and maturity has finally caught up with their talent. You put all of that together, it's going to be a formidable thing to overcome in the playoffs. I think this is a really important postseason for Shawn Kemp. Those last 2 Olympic spots are going to be handed out this week. He desperately wants to make the team. I think we have to reward people who show that they have become better people. I think Shawn Kemp's ready to prove that on the biggest stage the world has to provide, he can be a good American, a good Olympian, a good basketball player, all-around good guy. He should get one of those spots.
And he better not miss any more flights. Thanks a lot, David. When Michael Finley says he's just hanging, hey, he's not kidding. Look at that hang time. Showtime coming up. And when Chris Whitney says he's got crossover appeal, he's not kidding either. Nice crossover.
Showtime is brought to you by Sprite. Image is nothing. Thirst is everything. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
Second shot doesn't go. Marley boards it. That's it. It's over. Does the basket count? Here comes Shaquille O'Neal.
Knocked away, bring in. Dennis gives it to Mike. Oh, a 10.
He's got to make his mind up. Finley again driving. He gets this time. And here come the Pistons with 3-on-1 again. Taking the alley-oop slam. 91-87. Look at the pass. Look at the big guy.
Five right to Edney. He'll fake that for right to the base. Reverse it. One.
Clyde Drexler with a 360. For Miller. Reggie Miller throwing it off the back of Dale Davis and laying it in.
You can't take outside shots.
No, not at all. Oh, man. Look at that. Well, Smith right around Guglielmo and he dunked it.
Like this so far. Oh, yes, I like it. I like it. I like it.
Wesley Person blocked. Anthony blocked. Finley. Yes! Facing Elo, going to work. Vernon dipping to the wing. Yes! Woo! At the buzzer!
Oh, we love you, Vernon and John Lucas. This one is cooked, glazed, and ready to be sliced. For the entire Jam Posse, I'm Mark Jones saying we'll see you next week.